Hi, Michelle Glass here. Welcome to our first episode of our chapter 7, lecture 7 topic. We are going to be investigating in this whole chapter the process of photosynthesis. You guys already know photosynthesis is a process that happens in plants. And as we've been learning, we also will see photosynthetic protists called algae that have chloroplasts, so they can do photosynthesis. And then there are some bacteria that can do photosynthesis as well. Why do we as humans care about photosynthesis? Well, we care because life on our planet is solar powered. We have already talked about plants as being the producers that are converting sunlight into biochemical energy. Also, we'll see that oxygen gas is produced as a result of photosynthesis. And so this is creating our oxygen-rich environment, our oxygen-rich atmosphere that we super duper need for cellular respiration. And there are other many important benefits that plants give us. And so there's lots of reasons for us to be interested in this process. So let's get started. Okay, so as we just mentioned, our photosynthetic plants, our photosynthetic protists, and even those green bacteria that can do photosynthesis are important producers for the ecosystem, meaning that they're taking that energy in the sun, solar energy, and converting that into biochemical energy, which means those molecules that we can use for our cell. We will actually see that the end result of photosynthesis is a molecule called, or abbreviated as G3P. This molecule was highlighted in our video on ATP and food, so we have mentioned it before. And we saw at that point that cells can use that G3P molecule in order to construct the carbohydrates or proteins or lipids that that cell needs. We can also refer to our producers as autotrophs, and that term means that they are making their own biomolecules as opposed to animals like us. Obviously, we're heterotrophs, meaning that we have to eat something else in order to get that biochemical energy. We're not able to make make our molecules without, we can't make our own raw ingredients that we need. We have to eat that. Okay, here is our chemical equation for photosynthesis. So we can see that we are taking carbon dioxide gas, or I'm saying we as if I'm a plant. Plants are taking carbon dioxide gas out of the atmosphere. They're using water and solar energy to make our biomolecule, and here we're seeing a glucose molecule represented because that does balance our equation, and also oxygen gas, which we've mentioned goes out into the atmosphere for all of the organisms that need oxygen for cellular respiration. So it's creating an oxygen-rich atmosphere for us. Okay, so again, we're going to see the plant is using carbon dioxide gas from the atmosphere, water, and sunlight in order to produce glucose and oxygen gas. All of this photosynthetic process is happening at the chloroplast. This is our special organelle. We introduced it already in our tour of the cell. The chloroplast is green because it has a special type of pigment called chlorophyll. The chlorophyll is the pigment that is absorbing wavelengths of light. Every wavelength of light really except for green. Green is being reflected, and so that's what's making the plants appear green to our eyes. The chloroplast is one of our energy organelles like the mitochondria, and it does have similar structure. So we do see that it has a double membrane just like we had with our mitochondria. But then what we'll see inside are these membranous stacks. Each one of those membranes is called a thylakoid. Remember from our amoeba sister video, they kind of refer to that as like a pink pancake is the thylakoid. And then if you have your whole stack of thylakoids or your whole stack of pancakes, you can call that a granum. And then if you have a bunch of those stacks of pancakes, you can collectively call those grana. The grana are located at the inside of the chloroplast, which is full of a special type of fluid called the stroma. Notice your spelling here, S-T-R-O-M-A, stroma, So I'm highlighting my R sound because I'm getting ready to introduce another term to you that sounds very similar, but it is, you need to pay attention to the difference in those terms, okay? When we are looking at our plants, we see that a large portion of the plant is green. Any green part of the plant is green because of the chloroplasts, meaning that it's doing photosynthesis. So we're going to see photosynthesis happening in stems and leaves and green parts of flowers as well. The leaf really is the largest photosynthetic structure, so we will think of it as our primary photosynthetic organ. It's basically like that big solar panel there collecting that sunlight. Let's take a look at that leaf a little bit more closely. So we're going to do a cross section here. Notice we have a layer of cells at the top and the bottom of the leaf, and then we have our green cells in the middle of the leaf. The cells in the middle contain the chloroplasts. There are primary photosynthetic cells, and we call them mesophils because they are in the middle. So meso here is referring to the middle. Notice too, in the bottom of the leaf, you have openings called stomata is the plural form, stomata, or I've listed here stoma for the singular form of the word. This just means opening. So stoma, S-T-O-M-A, sounds kind of like stroma, but it is a different word, so make sure you're paying attention to that. Now, why would these be located on the underside of the leaf and not the top half of the leaf? Well, one reason is because you're going to lose water through the stomata. So if you put those openings on the top of the leaf and the sun is shining on the top, that's the hottest part of the leaf, you're going to be losing a whole lot more water than putting it on the underside of the leaf so that it's shaded out just a little bit. These openings are important not just because you have some water exiting here, but also this is your source for gas exchange. So this is how the leaf is getting the carbon dioxide gas that it needs for photosynthesis. So CO2 enters the leaf through the stomata, and oxygen gas will exit the leaf through the stomata. So this is, of course, putting that oxygen into our atmosphere, giving us our oxygen-rich environment. Okay, now this water loss that's happening is important because it's helping to pull water from the roots all the way through the stem and out the leaf. But it's also kind of dangerous for the plant because if you have an excessive amount of water leaving here, your plant can dehydrate really fast. And we know from personal experience that that's bad for us, right? That's bad for your plants too. Notice on either side of the stomata, you have special types of cells called guard cells. And they're called that for a reason because they guard the opening. When it gets too hot, if it's a super sunny hot day, what we see happening is those guard cells will actually close the stomata. So this means water can't leave. So we're protecting the plant from dehydration at this point. Keep that water in there. But this makes a problem for photosynthesis. How are we going to get our carbon dioxide gas? How are we going to get rid of that extra oxygen? Well, we will see in the future there are special adaptations for plants to deal with this exact scenario when those stomata are closed. So we'll talk about that again in the future. Okay, that's it for now. Stay tuned for your next presentation.